Hi there, everyone. And we are live again. I hope you're all doing well and are enjoying these last few days leading up to Easter. Today, we are continuing with building your eating plan, and we are looking again at adapting your physiology to adapting your eating so that your physiology can work at its best. And today's topic is eating enough. This is such an important part of getting everything right, because how much we eat dictates how much energy our body uses. So as we saw yesterday or last week from the metabolism, increasing the metabolism talk, our bodies use a certain amount of energy, and you can make that more or less depending on how much you eat. So eating enough is a vital part of adapting your physiology to work at its best. Okay, so I thought we'd start with fad diets and why they don't work long term. So if you think about fad diets, most of you have probably tried a diet and been on diets and wanted to lose weight quite desperately and thereby followed something that someone said this is the magic. So the problem with fad diets particularly is that the calorie intake is very low. And that is why the weight loss looks fantastic to start with. Okay, so think about the eat enough, this in the context of eating enough. If the calorie intake is very low, if we think about our metabolism, when the calorie intake is very low, initially the metabolism is still functioning at a high level and it slowly starts to decrease. And during that time, the weight loss looks amazing. Okay, but with time, the body learns to use less energy. In other words, your metabolism just slows down. And then the body starts to store more energy instead of using it when you do start eating more. And this is why with fad diets, when you eat very low calories, when you go off the diet and now start eating how you were eating before, you end up gaining all the weight back plus more because your metabolism is actually so much lower. So this topic goes together with the metabolism one. Let's take a look at these two scenarios. So we've got the one scenario of Mary, who eats as much as her body needs. So she is eating the correct amount. What happens here is that the body uses all of the energy it needs for its vital functions, and that is basically to run itself. So the energy that your body needs to exist, it's called your basal metabolic rate. And then the rest of the energy is used to do any other voluntary movement. So any extra things that you do that require more energy. And in terms of workouts, in this case, if the body does need a little bit more energy, it will actually burn fat to give you extra energy. So if you look at the energy that has been burned by Mary, who ate enough, as much as her body needed, it was 110 out of 100. And so she was able to lose weight. Okay. And so the body can tap into those fat stores when it is feeling supported and it feels like it has enough energy around all the time. Now, Katie, on the other side, is trying to lose weight desperately and has so started eating less and less and less, and is so only eating about 70% of what she actually needs. What this means then is that the body is going to learn to use less. So the vital functions of the body need the most energy. So it takes most of that energy and uses it for those vital functions. Still running at a lower pace than what you could actually run, but that's where majority of the energy will go to. And then any extra things that she is doing are just getting a very, very small amount of energy given to them. And so overall, she is only using about 70% of her complete intake. And so her body is never going to be able to tap into those fat stores properly. If she does lose weight initially, it's because the body is breaking down muscle to get a little bit of extra energy that may be needed. But losing muscle and losing fat are two very different things. Losing muscle may look great on the scale because water is lost at the same time, but your metabolism is slowing down in the process. Losing body fat, metabolism stays high, we've still got great amounts of energy, and we're just slowly losing our body fat. So the weight loss is not as exaggerated and doesn't look as amazing on the scale, but actually, ultimately, Mary is not going to have that rebound weight gain, whereas Katie very likely is if she starts eating more. Now, why this is so important is a lot of people, when they're desperate for weight loss, start eating too little. They start by not eating a breakfast, by eating little bits, starting late, and then they probably do eat quite a decent amount in the evening, and it probably makes up the amount that they pretty much need, not quite exactly, but a lot of what they need. But if you think back to a couple of weeks ago, if we're not going to eat during the day and we're only going to eat at night, then the body doesn't have the energy available when it needs it. And so it's never going to be able to utilize it effectively. So people don't like it when I tell them that they're eating too little because it's scary. It's scary when I say to someone, no, I think you should put an extra fruit into your morning snack. And they're like, why would I do extra food if I'm trying to lose weight? Because I've seen it happen time and time again, where if we add that little bit of extra into the daytime, everything works so much better. You feel so much better, and the weight loss starts shifting down. So really important for this to remember is it's during the day that you need to eat enough. If we're not eating enough at night, it's not a train smash because the body's not needing much energy. But during the day, you need to learn to eat enough. So what is enough? This is a good question. So this is a general guideline, and we're looking at sort of a body that's probably 60, 65 kilos from a female perspective, probably 70, 75 from a male perspective. If you're wanting to lose weight and you are not exercising at all, then you should never, as a woman, go below 1,200 calories, and as a man below 1,500 calories. Now, this is a guideline, and generally I don't give people less than 1,200 calories, but there are exceptions. We get tiny, minute people who are not very tall, who may not need 1,200 calories. So it definitely is a bit more individualized than just that, but as a basic guideline, you can use these values. If, however, you're not trying to lose weight, and you're just wanting to eat well for health, then a sort of a guideline in terms of calories is 1,500 for women and 1,800 for men. Now, once you add exercise into the mix, you can definitely have more. And it's not if you exercise on this day, you're going to eat more. It's when you do 3 to 4 times exercise a week, then we can eat roughly for women around 1,500 calories and for men around 1,800 calories and still lose weight. Now, if you're exercising, you're just doing this for health and you actually don't want weight loss, then the amounts go up. So women then can have about 1,800 calories and men about 2,100 calories. So this is a nice guideline for you to look at, sort of where should I be sort of making my spot in terms of calorie intake. But please, I'm not for calorie counting. This is not about becoming pedantic about this and eating exactly. It's roughly, it's having a guideline. Ultimately, we're going to ask the body how much food it needs. That will come up in a couple of weeks' time. But for the moment, we can sort of match on around this, and we do work with abouts, not exacts. Quite important is that for your body to function at its best, you do need consistency. The body loves consistency. If you're doing something every single day, it starts feeling better. Now, I don't mean consistency in terms of what you're eating. So you don't have to eat oats every morning, sandwich every lunch, and chicken and veg every night. You can vary your meals. It is best to vary meals because then we'll be getting better nutrition. But we need to keep that consistency going in terms of times that we get up in the morning, times that we eat breakfast, times that we eat lunch, times that we eat supper. Quantities also is a good one to sort of keep a bit of consistency with, although that to a certain extent we can manipulate and make flexible in terms of timing and quantity depending on what your body is telling you. So just remember, consistency is actually what the body really enjoys and where the body feels best. So just in terms of exercise, people often get this wrong. There's a lot of people that will think, I exercise today, I can eat. So generally, when you're exercising in a week, let's say we're doing 3 to 4 times in a week, and we're doing that every single week, then there's a certain amount of energy that you can take in every single day, whether you're exercising on that day or not. Okay, so if you just then say on one week have 4 days and on the next day you only had 2 because it just was a better week, but then the next week you managed 4 again, and then the next week 3, in that little bit of flexibility, you don't change anything because you're carrying on with the exercise. Your body's still able to use the same amount of energy every single day. When you start to decrease or increase your intake for longer periods of time, so for instance, a good example is when we went into lockdown, because we didn't move much, we didn't leave the house or anything, and everything was just so much closer. For that period of time, we moved a lot less. We should have decreased our intake, even if you exercised every single day. So for weight maintenance, we should have decreased our food intake because we didn't move half as much as we naturally do. So a decrease or increase in exercise for a longer period of time will mean a decrease or increase in energy intake overall, but not short amounts. And that's it today on eating enough. I hope that you have managed to get some of these concepts that I have been talking about and have managed to bring them into your eating and have managed to figure out what you're doing, where you're going wrong, where you're going right, what's working well, what's not working well, and have started to understand your own bodies. And example is when you eat breakfast, your whole day feels better. When you don't eat breakfast and you end up not feeling that hungry during the day, you end up overeating at night. Try it. Try and see what happens in your body. It's amazing when we see it in our bodies, how much better we feel when we eat more during the day. And once you've started experiencing how much better you can feel, then there's motivation to do it more often. And thereby we can improve our health. Okay, hope you've enjoyed today. I will see you again next week. Have a lovely Easter holiday. Goodbye.